The last person I expected to text me was my ex-boyfriend's father. Not him, his father. And not at 3 p.m. and 9:18 at night. The message was simple. Can we talk? Just dinner. I think we both deserve that. Mark. I stared at my phone for a full minute. Mark Whitmore, 52. Calm. Controlled. Always polite when I dated his son. Always distant. Or at least I thought he was. Ethan and I broke up 6 months ago. 3 years together. One shared apartment. One ugly ending. He said I wasn't stable enough. I said he was becoming his father. We both said things we couldn't take back. And that was that. Or so I thought. I hadn't spoken to Mark since the day I moved my boxes out of their house. He'd stood by the door, arms crossed, watching quietly. He didn't defend his son. He didn't comfort me either. He just said one thing. You deserve someone who sees you. I didn't understand what that meant at the time. Now I wasn't sure I wanted to. I shouldn't have replied. That's the truth. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. Why? I typed. The response came almost instantly. Because I owe you an apology. That made it worse. I wasn't sure which part was more unsettling. That he felt he owed me something. Or that he'd been thinking about me long enough to send that text. Dinner. Not coffee. Not we need to talk. Dinner. Intentional. Personal. Adult. I almost ignored it. But something in me wanted to know. So I agreed. We met at a quiet steakhouse on the edge of town. Dim lighting. Leather booths. The kind of place men like him choose when they want privacy without looking suspicious. He was already there when I arrived. Navy blazer. No tie. Hair slightly grayer than I remembered. But his eyes were the same. Steady. Observant. Too observant. You look well, he said as I sat down. His voice hadn't changed. Deep. Controlled. Measured. You don't, I replied. A small smile. I suppose I don't. There was something different about him tonight. Less father. More man. That realization made my chest tighten. The waiter left us alone with menus we didn't need. Neither of us had come here for food. I shouldn't have let Ethan talk to you the way he did, Mark began. I'm not here for closure, I said. I know. Silence stretched between us. Heavy. Not awkward. Heavy. He thinks you were too emotional, Mark continued. I think you were too honest. I didn't expect that. And that's a problem? I asked. For my son? Yes. For me? No. His eyes didn't leave mine. Not even when I shifted in my seat. You shouldn't be saying things like that, I muttered. Why? Because you're his father. Yes. And you're looking at me like you're not. That was the first moment the air changed. Subtle, but undeniable. He leaned back slightly. Not defensive, just thoughtful. I've spent my whole life being careful, he said. Careful husband, careful father, careful businessman. And I'm tired. That word didn't sound dramatic. It sounded honest. You're married, I reminded him. Separated. That was new information. How long? A year. Ethan never mentioned that. Of course, he wouldn't. The Whitmores didn't discuss cracks in their image. I didn't ask you here to disrespect my son, Mark continued. I asked you here because I've been thinking. That's not reassuring. A faint smile touched his mouth. You were different, he said quietly, from the people Ethan brings home. In what way? You didn't perform. There it was again. That same tone he used the day I moved out. Like he'd seen something I didn't. You're not supposed to notice things about your son's boyfriend, I said. I notice everything. His voice dropped slightly on that one. And suddenly the dinner felt less like closure, and more like something dangerous. I'm not interested in being anyone's revenge fantasy, I said carefully. His eyes sharpened. That's not what this is. Then what is it? He didn't answer immediately. He just watched me, not my face, my reaction, like he was studying a risk. Have you ever felt like you met someone at the wrong time? He asked softly. My heartbeat shifted. That's not appropriate. I know. Then don't say it. He leaned forward slightly, still not touching, still controlled. I've thought about you, he said. The words were quiet, but they landed like a match. Since before Ethan and I ended? I asked. His silence was the answer, and that was when I realized this wasn't sudden. It wasn't impulsive. It had been building, quietly, behind polite dinners, behind family holidays, behind carefully controlled smiles. You're playing with fire, I warned. I'm aware. And if Ethan finds out? His jaw tightened slightly. He won't. That's not what I asked. Another silence, then softer. I won't let it destroy him. That wasn't denial. That was a calculation. I should have stood up. I should have walked out. Instead, I stayed. Because part of me wanted to know how far he was willing to go. And part of me wanted to know why I wasn't standing already. Why me? I asked. His answer came without hesitation. Because you look at me like I'm not untouchable. The air shifted again. This wasn't father energy anymore. This was a man who'd been restrained too long. And when he reached across the table, not for my hand, just close enough that his fingers hovered near mine. He didn't touch me, but he didn't pull back either. And somehow, that was worse. I should have left after that dinner. Instead, I let him walk me to my car. That was mistake number 2. The restaurant parking lot was half empty. Cool night air. Soft yellow lights. Quiet. Too quiet. He stopped a few feet from my door. Close enough to feel. Far enough to pretend we weren't crossing anything. I didn't ask you here to make you uncomfortable, he said. You didn't. No. You just told your son's ex-boyfriend you've been thinking about him. A faint breath left his nose. Not quite a laugh. You think this is easy for me? No. I think it's reckless. That word didn't offend him. It intrigued him. I haven't touched you, he said calmly. That doesn't mean you haven't crossed something. His eyes darkened slightly. Crossed what? You know exactly what. Silence. He didn't deny it. That was worse. You're an adult, he continued. So are you. I'm not forcing you into anything. I know. That matters. It did. And that made it more complicated. You should go home, I said. He looked at my car, then back at me. I don't really have one anymore. That hit differently. Not seductive. Lonely. You separated, I said carefully. Yes. Does Ethan know? He knows we're separated. Not why. And why is that? His jaw tightened. Because he doesn't know who I am either. That wasn't defensive. That was tired. I'm not here to fix your identity crisis, I said. I'm not asking you to. Then what are you asking? He stepped half a pace closer. Still no touching. Just tension. I'm asking you to stop pretending you don't feel this too. That was direct. Too direct. I don't know what this is, I replied. Yes, you do. Don't. Then tell me I imagined the way you stayed at dinner. Couldn't. And he saw that. You're playing with something fragile, I warned. So are you. The air between us tightened. This wasn't about attraction anymore. It was about power, control, choice. You were never invisible to me, he said quietly. That shifted everything. What does that mean? It means I noticed how you handled Ethan. How? You didn't bend. The way he said it wasn't about my relationship with his son. It was admiration, and that was dangerous. I respected you, he continued. And that's the problem? Yes. Why? Because I wasn't supposed to. There it was. The forbidden part. Not age. Not reputation. The emotional betrayal of something unspoken. You could ruin your relationship with your son, I said. I'm aware. And you're okay with that? No. But I'm not okay with lying to myself anymore. That landed heavier than I expected. Car drove past slowly. Headlights cutting across us. For a second, I stepped back instinctively. He noticed. You're afraid, he said. Yes. Of me? No. Of being judged? of hurting someone. That stopped him. He studied me again. Not like prey, like a decision. I would never use you to hurt him, he said. Then what is this? His voice lowered. It's the first time in years I've wanted something that wasn't expected of me. The honesty was raw, and raw is harder to fight. He reached up slowly, not for my hand, for my face, paused inches away, waiting. That pause said more than a touch ever could. You can walk away, he murmured. I should have. Instead, I didn't move. His fingers brushed my jaw. Light, careful, testing. The contact wasn't heated. It was grounding, and that made it worse. You don't belong to my son anymore, he said softly. I know, and I don't belong to anyone right now. That doesn't make this right. No, he admitted. It just makes it real. When his thumb traced lightly along my cheek, I felt the shift. Not explosive, not desperate, slow, intentional, and deeply forbidden. He leaned in slightly, not kissing, just close enough that I could feel his breath. Tell me to stop, he said. His voice wasn't commanding. It was asking, and that's what made my chest tighten, because I didn't say it. He kissed me, not rushed, not aggressive, slow, like he'd been rehearsing it in his head for months. His hand stayed on my jaw, steady, grounded. The kiss wasn't hungry. It was intentional. That made it worse, because this wasn't an impulse. It was a decision. For half a second, I forgot everything. The ring, the history, his son, just warmth, control. A man who knew exactly what he was doing. And then, headlights flooded the parking lot. Bright, blinding. We both stepped back instantly. Too late. I didn't have to look to know who it was. But I did. Ethan, driver's seat, hands gripping the wheel, face pale under the light. He wasn't supposed to be there. He wasn't supposed to see. But he did. Every second of it. The car door opened slowly. No shouting. No dramatic slamming. Just the sound of shoes on asphalt. What the hell is this? Ethan asked. Not loud. Worse. Controlled. Mark stepped slightly in front of me. Instinct. Protective. That only made it worse. Ethan, he started. Don't. That word sliced through the air. You. Ethan looked at me first. Hurt. Confused. Angry. Then his eyes shifted to his father. You. That one carried something deeper. Betrayal layered with disbelief. It's not what you think, Mark said. And even as he said it, he knew it was exactly what Ethan thought. Really? Ethan laughed once. Short. Sharp. I just watched you kiss him. No one denied it. No one could. How long? Ethan demanded. Mark didn't answer immediately. And that silence felt like a confession. It hasn't been long, I said quickly. Stop, Ethan snapped. You don't get to defend this. He looked back at his father. Was this happening when we were together? The question hung heavy. Mark's jaw tightened. No, don't lie to me. I'm not. Ethan stepped closer. You noticed him. I saw it. The words hit like a stone. So he had known. Maybe not consciously, but somewhere inside him he'd felt it. You ruined this, Ethan said. Not to me. To his father. You don't even know what this is, Mark replied quietly. That's the problem, Ethan shouted. Heads turned from across the lot. Other parents. Strangers. Whispers starting. Public now. Exposed. You couldn't just let him go? Ethan asked me. I did, I said. Then why are you standing here? I didn't have an answer he'd accept. Mark stepped forward again. This is on me. Ethan laughed again. Of course it is. His eyes were glassy now. Not rage. Hurt. You couldn't just stay with my father? He asked. That one landed hard. Because that wasn't about me. That was about identity. I've stayed with your father my whole life, Mark said. And now I'm being honest. With him, Ethan spat. With myself. Silence. Heavy. Public. Uncomfortable. Ethan looked at me one last time. You knew what this would do, he said. Yes. And you did it anyway. I swallowed. Yes. He nodded once. Sharp. Done. Then he turned and walked back to his car. No dramatic exit. No final speech. Just distance. The engine started. He didn't look back. Mark didn't chase him. Neither did I. Because we both knew this wasn't something you fix in a parking lot. When the car disappeared around the corner, the silence felt louder than the confrontation. You should hate me, Mark said quietly. I don't. I might deserve it. Maybe. He looked older suddenly. Not powerful. Not composed. Just a man who'd broken something. That wasn't how I wanted this to happen, he said. You didn't want it to happen at all, I replied. He didn't deny that. You can still walk away, I told him. So can you. But neither of us moved. And that's when I realized the forbidden part wasn't the kiss. It was the cost. He didn't call me the next day, or the next. No dramatic I choose you. No desperate midnight visit. Just silence. But this time it wasn't avoidance. It was a consequence. I heard about it from Ethan first. He showed up at my apartment 3 days later. Not angry, not yelling, just tired. You happy? He asked. That's not why this happened. He looked around my place like he'd never really seen it before. I always knew he didn't love my mom, he said quietly. That wasn't what I expected. He stayed because it was expected, Ethan continued. He always stays where he's expected. Silence stretched between us. You were the first thing he's ever chosen for himself, Ethan said. That landed heavily. I didn't plan this, I said. I know. Do you hate me? He shook his head slowly. No. A beat. I hate that it makes sense. That hurt more than anger. He moved out, Ethan added. My chest tightened. Where? An apartment downtown. Because of me? Because he finally admitted he hasn't been honest in years. There was no shouting in Ethan's voice. No fury. Just disappointment. And something else. Relief. You should go see him, Ethan said before leaving. That surprised me. Why? Because if he's going to blow up his life, he should at least know it wasn't for nothing. Then he walked out, and that was the last time we spoke about it. I didn't see Mark for 2 weeks. 2 long weeks of thinking, of replaying that parking lot. That kiss, Ethan's face. Then one evening, he knocked on my door. Not late, not secretive. 7:30 p.m. Normal. He looked different, less polished, less controlled, more honest. I won't ask you to choose sides, he said the moment I opened the door. I already did. He stepped inside slowly. I told Ethan everything, he continued. Not details, but the truth. And he's angry. He has the right. Yes. A long silence followed. Then, but he said something I didn't expect. What? He said he's tired of pretending too. That shifted something inside me. I never wanted to hurt him, Mark said quietly. I know. I won't choose you at the expense of my son. I wouldn't let you. That was important. Clear. No manipulation. No stolen loyalty. But I won't choose fear anymore either, he added. There it was. The line. The decision. I moved out because I couldn't keep living half-present. And now, I asked, now I rebuild. Alone. If that's what it takes. He wasn't claiming me. Wasn't demanding. He was offering honesty. You're not my revenge, he said firmly. And I'm not your rebellion. No. Silence. Steady. Grounded. Then softer. I care about you. No drama. No desperation. Just truth. And if Ethan never fully forgives you? I asked. Then I spend the rest of my life earning it. That was the man he really was. Not reckless. Not selfish. Accountable. He stepped closer slowly. Not assuming. Waiting. This can't be secret, he murmured. It won't be. This can't be about proving anything. It isn't. His hand brushed mine. Not hidden. Not rushed. Deliberate. I laced my fingers with his. That was my choice. Months later, it wasn't perfect. Family dinners were tense. Conversations careful, but honest. Ethan didn't explode. He adjusted. Because the truth, however ugly, was cleaner than the lie. Mark didn't steal me from his son. He stepped into something complicated and chose to handle it like a man. Not in the dark. Not in parking lots. Not in whispers. In daylight. With consequences. And when he kissed me this time, it wasn't forbidden anymore. It was earned.